Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ana Mazwa binti Baharuddin and my matrix number is 125083. Before I start the presentation, I will explain in general what is Article 1211A. Article 1211A is one of the most controversial and legally significant provision in Malaysia Supreme Law, which is the Federal Constitution. The history of Article 1211A is before 1988. The Civil High Courts held supervisory jurisdiction, meaning they could review and overturn decisions made by Sharia judges. This often led to legal friction, as religious reviews were subject to the scrutiny of civil judges who may not have been trained in Islamic jurisprudence. The meaning or intent behind Article 1211A was to grant the Sharia court autonomy and exclusivity over personal and family law matters involving Muslims, such as marriage, divorce, and inheritance. This amendment effectively built a constitutional wall between our civil and Sharia system. Today, we will explore why Article 1211A is introduced, key constitutional functions, also the institutional framework, significance, and practical and also legal implication with a conclusion. Next, the constitutional function. I will explain two functions. Firstly, the separation of jurisdiction in Malaysia is primarily governed by Article 1211A of the Federal Constitution, which prevents civil courts from intervening in matters specifically reserved for the Sharia courts. This dual track system ensures that personal and religious matters such as Islamic marriage, divorce, and inheritance are adjudicated by religious experts under state-specific enactments, provided all parties involved are Muslim. However, this boundary remains a point of significant legal complexity when disputes involve non-Muslim parties or constitutional challenges. As civil courts generally retain the ultimate authority to interpret the Constitution and protect fundamental rights. Second, although Sharia courts are established under state law, Article 121A of the Federal Constitution of Malaysia constitutionally recognized their authority by preventing civil courts from interfering in matters within Sharia court jurisdiction. This provision protects the autonomy of Sharia courts in administering Islamic law. The institutional impact of Article 121A can be understood through the structure and interaction of courts. Generally, the civil court established under Article 121 of the Federal Constitution of Malaysia have general judicial authority through the Federal Court, Court of Appeal, and High Courts. However, their jurisdiction is constitutionally restricted by Article 121A, which prevents them from hearing matters that fall within the lawful jurisdiction of the Sharia courts. And Sharia courts established under state constitutions and enactment Sharia courts jurisdiction limited to persons professing Islam and matters expressly provided by state law. Jurisdictional scope includes marriage, divorce, maintenance, inheritance, faraid, religious offences. Article 121A ensures institutional autonomy of Sharia courts by preventing civil courts from reviewing, supervising, or overturning Sharia court's decision. Why is the Article 121A is important in the Federal Constitution? I will explain two significance of Article 121A. Firstly, expert specialization in Islamic matter. The article ensures that religious and family matters involving Muslim such as zakat, faraid, and hukum hakam are decided by judges trained in Islamic jurisprudence. This is important to prevent civil judges who may not be experts in Islamic law from making rulings on complex theological or religious legal issues. Additionally, establishment of judicial dualism. Before 1988, the civil high courts often acted as a supervisor to the Sharia courts, sometimes overturning their decisions. Article 121A ended this by stating that civil courts should have no jurisdiction over matters within the jurisdiction of the Sharia courts. It's important to give the Sharia courts autonomy and recognize them as a separate, independent stream of justice. Next, we will go to practical and legal implications of Article 121A in constitutional and institutional framework. Firstly, jurisdictional conflicts dispute. arise in dual identity cases, such as conversion to Islam and side custody, involving parties of different religions like the case of Indira Gandhi. Courts must first determine which court has jurisdiction, not the merits of the case. Furthermore, non-Muslims may be indirectly affected by Sharia court decisions, such as in cases involving conversion or child custody, but they have no legal standing to appear before Sharia courts. As a result, Article 1211A may limit their access to remedies in civil courts, raising concerns about access to justice and legal protection under the Federal Constitution of the nation. In conclusion, Article 1211A plays a crucial constitutional role by maintaining jurisdictional boundaries between civil and Sharia courts, protecting institutional independence of Sharia courts, and reflecting Malaysia's plural legal system within a federal constitutional structure. However, its application continues to raise complex constitutional questions, particularly regarding fundamental liberties, equality before the law, and access to justice.